Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And as promised, it's just me here again, Marco, to finish off. And just listen to that sound, like, isn't it odd? I don't know, I wish I had like some sort of, you know what this makes me want to like invent? I want to invent like a Dr. Seuss style funnel that like I can attach to my mouth, and then it like somehow like transmits whatever level of like voice that I want to transmit into the phone. Because like just listening to how I sound, it's like this odd, like muffled, I don't know, like echoey, like it's really like I don't like listening to this, like for some reason. I don't know if that makes any sense, but whatever. So this is still going to be talking about my birthday celebrations, and it's just sort of like a laid back podcast. And after thinking about it, I'm kind of in between, and I'd like people's opinions on this. So I do have the other channel where I was originally posting these podcasts, and I was thinking, maybe either I post a video on each channel at the same time, and so that would be like a movie review on here, and then on the other channel, the podcast. Or I could take a day off of the movie review channel and just post the podcast on the podcast channel. So those are the two options I was thinking about, because I don't know, it kind of feels like cheating to put these videos on here. Like, it kind of feels like when you're, when you're on a diet or like a fitness journey, and then you eat like a huge donut or something, like it kind of has that same type of feeling where, it's like, ooh, I'm kind of doing something naughty, and so Santa's not going to give me any presents. So one of the things that I forgot to talk about, because it's really funny. I mean, you have to admit how funny it is, the way that, it's like every single thing that I had planned just kind of flip-flopped a little bit in a funny way. And so it's fun to like discuss all the different elements that kind of flipped on their heads, because it's just like, you can't really have any expectations for anything. You just have to expect that maybe one thing will turn out, and then everything else will just kind of be like, eh. So the first thing is, I talked about this in the summer, and I said, it would be a really fun video to do on my birthday? It would be fun to rank and review all of the outright bars. So basically, if you don't know, I've had a lot of different types of protein bars. I talked about the top 10 best and worst earlier this year on the channel. So if you'd like to know what are the best and worst ones, go check that out. And I talked about how the outright bar is like the best one or one of the top three. And I really, really loved them when they first came out. You know, when I used to follow bodybuilding YouTube channels, I used to follow the MTS nutrition YouTuber all the time. You know, even though there were a lot of things I didn't like about his videos and just him in general, I did follow him for quite a while. And I considered him like a, I don't know, like a fun, you know, a lot of bodybuilding YouTubers. I mean, that's a whole topic in and of itself. Like the bodybuilding YouTube community. Like I could go on and on about those YouTube channels after, you know, watching like hundreds of them and just seeing like the weirdness that I've seen. Like I've experienced a lot of weirdness with these YouTubers. You know, even with like the most popular of the popular, like if here's something really weird that happened out of nowhere this one year. So on Twitter, I used to use my real picture and my real name. I think that Twitter is like the only social media platform that I don't use my real name anymore. And it happened because, and I did that because of a certain thing that happened that I don't want to talk about in this video. I already talked about it in the top 10 porno video. So I used to use a picture kind of myself, and I think I didn't have a shirt on, and I was holding an MTS protein mint cookies and cream flavor tub. And it was so hilarious because Phil Heath, the fucking Mr. Olympia contender, or I don't know if he ever won, you know, a very, very popular bodybuilder, just out of nowhere, he follows me, and then he messages me and he says, "Hey, you work out. That's really cool." And then he gave me like in fact, let's see if we can find it, because I just want to get, because it was so random out of nowhere and so hilarious that it happened. Oh shit, I can't do it on here. Damn it. Well, maybe I'll post the picture of it on here, since it's only 7 minutes into the video. So it won't be that much that I have to go back and listen to. So that was pretty weird, and why did I even talk about that to begin with? Oh, just because of like weird stuff in the bodybuilding, because you'd never expect like I don't know, like I just never expected to just randomly get a DM from this Mr. Olympia person, especially because, you know, the picture was just was just kind of like weak looking, like I was pushing out my shoulders and like pushing my muscles forward as if I was like bigger than I actually was. So it was pretty bad. So the outright bars, I was really interested in all the different flavors over the years. You know, when he started releasing these, he marketed them as a great alternative to Quest bars, because Quest bars, they had a reputation for being so hard that, you know, you would like break your teeth eating a fucking Quest bar. And I remember just how like laughably inconsumable they were, and how, you know, like, ugh, like how could you even eat this without putting it in front of a heater or putting it in the microwave or something. And so it was really nice that somebody thought of an alternative. And, you know, he is really good at coming up with products that are good and that are worthwhile, pretty much. And so I got 3 original bars when they first came out, and they were so delicious. They were so fresh, soft, chewy, perfect. Just the greatest things of all time. But I didn't really plan on getting any more after that, because I kind of thought in the future I'd like to just try all the flavors at once and then rank them, and just in general, like, tell you guys my thoughts after I've tasted them all. Because, when you just taste one and then a couple years later you taste another flavor, it's kind of harder to rank things, because you have to go back and remember those tastes. And for some people that's really difficult, and for me, it was a little difficult, like with the G Fuel flavors that I ranked this year as well. It was really tough to, like, think about what some of the ones tasted like, and so it was a challenge. I was really disappointed though, because I went on the website to get the outright bars, and I was like, okay, I'll just be getting like 30 protein bar flavors. And then I go on there's only like 8 available, and then out of those 8, only like 4 were available to purchase. Like, all the rest of them were sold out, and it's because that, I didn't think about this. They freshly bake these bars in batches of 100, and so they're limited availability. So I ended up getting, and I'll talk about just what I thought about each one. So that was another fail. And we each had a half of a bar each morning for 4 days, and we shared our thoughts on them just with each other. And there are a couple of more available, so now I could technically get some more, and, maybe we could rank after we've tried 30 flavors or something in the future, to make up for not doing it on my birthday like I said I would. But it's just because, like, I couldn't. Like, I see all these pictures of flavors on the site, but, you can't really get all of them. Like, they have I remember being really excited about a couple of them, like peppermint cookies and cream. That sounds good. Pumpkin pie. Like stuff like that. Weird flavors like that, banana walnut. That one is the one that I really wanted to try. And gingerbread sounds good. Oh, this flavor sounds so good. But here's the flavors that I ended up getting and trying, because this really was supposed to be a part of the birthday celebration. So it's another element that kind of backfired. So number 1, I got the original, and now here was the really fucked up part, was that some of the bars, 2 out of the 4, were rock hard. Like, they were so hard and dry that they might be the worst protein bars, or some of the worst protein bars I've ever eaten. Because once you take the soft, chewy texture out of these bars, it completely ruins them. It is just terrible. It's like it turns them into, like, you're eating dirt. You're just picking up a scoop of dirt and you're eating it. And that's what it tastes like when these bars are dried out and just rock hard. So the original flavor was one of the ones. And my theory is that it's just because people didn't buy out all of the bars, and so these were the ones that were baked like the longest time ago. And then the other flavors, were freshly baked, so they weren't hard and they weren't stale. So that's what I think what happened, which is kind of weird, because You'd think that they'd throw the bars out once they got stale. So the original, I hated it. Like, I would rate, if I had, and now here's another thing, like, now I would no longer put the outright bar in the top 10 protein bars, just because if there's a chance of getting stale bars, I never want to eat it again, because the texture is everything. You can have that good, simple taste of peanut butter and honey and chocolate chips, but if the texture is wrong, then it's going to destroy the bar. So I rate the original bar, the one that I had that was rock hard, I rated a D-. I fucking hated it. And then I also got chocolate chip almond butter, and I really like almond butter sometimes. I think that I don't prefer it to peanut butter, but I would say that it is pretty good. I don't like the oil at the top of it, though. That's one of the gross things I don't like. It has all the, when you get a can of it, it has all this oil at the top, and it's like, ugh. You have to like mix it with the stuff underneath. It was, it was exactly what you'd expect of like an almond flavor. Almond flavoring is very, very particular. It was okay. It was okay. It was like a C- maybe. It really wasn't that great, but then I also got the cookie dough peanut butter. That one was really good because it was soft and chewy, and so that took it to a B. That was like a B flavor. It was pretty good, but the best flavor, surprisingly, was the one that I expected to be the worst one, which was cinnamon sugar donut cashew butter. They used cashew butter, I think, because it didn't get in the way of the flavor of the cinnamon sugar donut. And it tasted really delicious. Like, it tasted exactly like a cinnamon sugar donut. And so I give it like an A-. I thought that was really fantastic. And it had the texture. The texture is everything with these bars. So that's what happened with that. So that's another element that was kind of, and let's see, you can get 1, 2, 3, you can get 3 other flavors as of now. Like, let's see, do they say like how many are left of each one? I guess a lot, because it says you can get 10 or more of these certain flavors. But yeah, if I were to get one of these bars right now, well, I want the s'mores because that sounds really good. But I would recommend the cinnamon sugar donut. But I would say overall, probably, I'm no longer a fan of these bars. I would just recommend getting the other bars that I talked about. Although you can't get the original Tiger's Milk bars anymore. They ruined those, and they turned them into diarrhea generic bars. And I don't want to say anything more about what they fucking did to my Tiger's Milk brand bars, because like those used to be my favorite. I used to look forward to getting those every single time at the certain old store, and it's so fucking irritating that they took those bars. They were so unique and they were so flavorful, and they took them and they just turned them into these generic bars, and they were so gross. They made me sick. They gave me some sort of like a food poisoning thing one day. So fuck Tiger's Milk. And then speaking of other protein bars, there was this other bar that I purchased recently for fun, and it was really hilarious because the bar was like kind of an inflammatory, baity type of title, and it said, buy a bar, save a child. And so I got the bar, and it turns out that, like, for these protein bars, they're not necessarily protein bars, they're just snack bars. But for every bar that you purchase, they send these protein peanut butter food packets to Africa to feed starving children. And so they had these fucking videos of celebrities endorsing it, like Kristen Bell, if you remember her. I don't really think she's been in very much lately. Well, actually, she was in that pretty good Queen Pins movie last year. I liked that movie. I really love the taste of the bar. It was like a cherry chocolate. It was really tasty. But something was really gross about these bars. And, I usually don't talk about this, but I have to because it was so gross. And, like, it just, like, it'll forever be like a haunting image and just like a nightmare thinking about what this bar did. So somehow I went to the bathroom and then I looked, and, like, there were all these, like, weird shapes and, like, strings of, like leaves, and, like, it was the grossest thing I've ever seen. And it was all because I ate one of those bars. And it was like the bar was made out of, like, dirt and twigs or something, because it was so disgusting that, like, I don't care if buying those bars every week for me gives me like 10 karma points a week and fucking saves 1 million children, starving children. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm never eating or purchasing one of those bars again, because I never want to go to the bathroom and then look and see, like, it looks like fucking Jumanji or something. Like, and I apologize for that, because I know that's not what people would want to hear in a YouTube video, but it was just so, like, nightmarish, and I was like, ugh, I can't believe it was like, I can't believe that celebrities would endorse that too. It got me to thinking about how accurate that South Park special was, where all the celebrities were endorsing the pee. They're all endorsing, like, pee products with, like, pee water and stuff when they recycled the pee into the water and stuff. It was exactly like that for me in terms of these bars. So another thing was, in terms of, I'm going to be talking about the incident that happened. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about, that I talked about in the last video. It got me to thinking about a couple of, I think that there were a lot of warning signs to this one as well. And one of them was that, thinking about that race car dream that I had in May, and thinking about, that might have been a part of it too. And so I think that that's also something. And so there were a couple of weird things that I saw. And even looking at, if you guys look at that video that I made about I've Been Bitten, the poster on the thumbnail picture, the woman on the picture looks a lot like her. So That's pretty interesting. So there are a lot of little signs that I noticed that I was kind of like, uh-oh. And so another one was that if you added up the time that it happened along with, and you add all these numbers separately, you add the time, it equaled 7. And her birthday was 7, and then the day that it happened was also a 7. So that's 777, of course. So that was another little red flag. So you see all these little signs and things, they're all put out there so that, you can kind of like interpret what happened and sort of see like that there was a plan for it to happen and things. And another thing that's funny with the birthday celebration is that I didn't get any cameos. And I didn't talk about this because I thought, maybe a lot of people didn't watch the other video about my 23rd birthday celebration that was terrible. But with that one, I was saying like, oh, cameos are the greatest birthday gift you could ever receive. Well, this year, I just really didn't want a cameo. Like, there was one person who, last year, their cameo was so good. It was like 4 minutes long. It was detailed. It was just perfect. It was like the greatest thing I've ever gotten. Ever. It was so worth the money. I would have paid more. That's how much of a great gift it was. And then, of course, I got one for free. Well, the person whose cameo that was really worth the money, which was $160, this person wasn't available this year. They have their profile marked temporarily unavailable. So I couldn't get it even if I wanted to. So that's unfortunate, but I did send them a message, which was $4. So I just wanted to send them one anyway, just to say, Merry Christmas. Because one of the funny things about their cameo was that it turned out that their sister was actually had the same birthday as me. And so that was funny that I had gotten a cameo and that turned out the way that it did. So yeah, I really, it's funny too, because after seeing that cameo, I really don't ever see the value in getting a cameo again. Like, the value is all taken out for me after that cameo. That cameo that I got last year, I still remember, like, what I was eating while I was watching it and what I was doing while I was listening to it and watching it. Like, that's how good of a cameo it was. It was like a mic drop. It was like a mic drop cameo. And so, like, I don't even see, like, what would be the value of getting, like, a cameo from just some person on there? Like, even if they're legendary, what would be the value if it's not going to be like the one from last year? Like, that one was just so perfect that it was like a that gift alone was like a gift for like 23 years combined. Like, it was that epic. And so really nothing on there could top that. In fact, let's see if they added anyone else interesting, because maybe if somebody else unique came on, I would be interested, but they're just kind of the same faces for the most part on there. And she's still unavailable, or is she? So let's see. Where's the newbies? Because maybe if I see somebody new that's interesting, I'll be like, ooh, I'll be surprised. Nope, still temporarily unavailable. Which is fine, because as soon as they come online again, I'll just get a cameo then, and maybe if they're still on around the holiday times, I'll get another one. So double trouble. Let's see. Nope. No, they don't. Whoops. Nope. Nope. Nope, not really, no. Not enough for me to be like, yeah, I'm going to spend that amount of money. That's another unfortunate thing about Cameo, is that, like, I think it really shows, like, I don't really know if it's the shitty agents or the shitty actors, because we all know how shitty agents are after we had that little thing happen. So, it seems like a lot of people that are on there really value themselves highly. Like, I don't want to say who the person was, but there was this one person who played like a really embarrassingly bad character on a horror TV show that we reviewed, and they had their cameos worth at like $100. And I just thought, like, this is fucking laughable that somebody would pay $100 for this person. Like, just, like, even if you liked his character, like, just thinking about how much of a waste of money that is to purchase their cameo for $100. Like, the max that I would pay for that person to give me a cameo is like $25. And that's being generous. Like, so they really, like, overvalue themselves. Some of the more popular ones, though, they have their prices at lower prices. So, you can see which celebrities are really cool and which ones really think too highly of themselves. Like, the person who gave me a free cameo last year, her cameo price is only like $40. And to me, like, that's really a good value. So, another thing that I didn't mention was, when I was bowling, it was really distracting as well, because I have these things in the bowling ball called inserts. And they're there, I guess, for like curving the ball or something. I don't know what they're for, but I got those at one point because I thought that it was making it more professional or something. And so I have inserts in 2 out of the 3 holes. Well, I had a really hard time putting my fingers into the ball. And so it was making my fingers more sore, and it was like taking away from like being able to bowl, because I could hardly get my fingers in the holes, except for the thumb, because the thumb I actually had widened years ago. They widened that hole for me, and so that was another thing that happened with the bowling that didn't make it so perfect, but that was a little wrinkle in that. And then in terms of horror Trivial Pursuit, we finished the game this morning, December 21st. I won. I don't think that's a surprise. The only unfortunate thing is that I won on almost like a cheat. And so the question was, who directed The Dead Zone? And I answered Steven Cronenberg because I don't know, just thinking about Stephen King. But then, I got Cronenberg, so whatever. And what was funny too was the question that I got right before that was actually who's the dad of Joe Hill, and obviously that's Stephen King. And so it was two Stephen King questions that I got correct. So that was pretty funny. So that's the results from that. I might be doing another game with that because I really like answering horror trivia. Although I wish there were more questions that were about things that I cared about. You know, like there's no questions so far about any of the Psycho movies. And, you know, I'd like to answer some trivia about those. So, and then I might be doing some more face videos. Like, I really like doing that whole drunken video where I showed just eating pizza and celebrating. And, you know, I kind of been thinking about, you know, maybe building a set and doing like videos where I'm on screen with my face. So that's something that I've been thinking about a little bit. So I'm kind of just putting that out there. The only problem is, of course, you guys know how bad the sound is on my phone. So I'd have to get like a microphone to do that. And to make it like work. I can't just do my videos on the Notes app, or not the Notes app, the Voice Memos app. So I'd have to figure that out. And then it was really funny too because I told you guys that I wanted to talk, or no I didn't. Well, so one of the other things was I was planning on that app where I was trolling people. There was somebody who I thought would probably be online there, and I was really looking forward to talking to them. But then it was funny because this person was sick, and they were laying in bed, and like they had the lights off, and they just looked like they were dying. And it was so hilarious because, you know, they were online for like 2 seconds, and then they left. And then, of course, I got sick later. And so it was funny that we were both sick that day. So that was another little wrinkle in what I wanted to happen versus what happened. And then it's really funny, too, because I only got like 2 posts on my Facebook. Only 2 posts of like happy B-Day posts. But it's really funny because now I've been getting like tons of them afterwards. And this is what always happens too, is that like, you know, people don't see it and they get notified late, and so that's pretty funny. But the funny thing too is that I got more birthday wishes on YouTube on the channel than I did on Facebook or anything else. And it was kind of cool because it showed that, like, you know, with this channel, there's something positive being built, at least, that I was able to get this sort of a response. So I really thought that that was cool. That was probably my favorite part of the whole experience. And then let's see. Wait. Because another thing that happened was that I was thinking about, you know, perhaps spending the day with certain people in terms of talking to them. And it was funny because I just ended up getting rid of a lot of people who I thought were, like, you know, revealing their true colors, or just, you know, really funny characters that I could talk about in more depth. And so it was kind of like, as I said in the last video, addition by subtraction. And so it was kind of relieving to get rid of some people like throwing out the trash. So I did that the whole day, like, and maybe I'll get into specifics on another video, but let's just say, like, it was fun. It was pretty nice. It was like, instead of worrying about, keeping them around, I was just like, fuck off. And it was funny too, because the first birthday wish that I got, which was the same thing that happened last year, was from the dentist. And that's another hilarious, like, hallmark of these birthdays that happen now, is that, like, I wake up and then I get an email and it's from the fucking dentist office. And, like, let's see what they say, because I still have it for sure. I put it in the trash, but I still, yep, here it is. And let's just say, I mean, what the fuck is that? Like, they have a picture of a toothbrush with toothpaste on it, and then they have some balloons, and then it says, "Happy birthday, Marco. Everyone at the dentist office wishes you health and happiness on your birthday. Enjoy your day, the dentist." I mean, it is just like the scariest shit ever. Like, it is just the scariest fucking, like, if anything, that's like something that you should get on Halloween, is like your dentist messaging you and saying, fucking happy Halloween. I can't wait for you to eat some more candy so that you'll visit my office sometime soon. Like, yeah, I hope you get impatient with the Tootsie Roll pop and fucking bite down on it like a fucking dipshit. Like, that's like what they should be doing. They should not be messaging people on their birthday and saying, "Hey, happy birthday." It's like, yeah, fuck you. You're the last person that I want to hear from on a day of celebration. And so then also after that was somebody else that I was not expecting at all, which was Vichy Swa from the Super Dumbass Trio. He was the next person. And so it was hilarious how these, unexpected messages, as I said, it's like everything will, like, flip over on that day. So let's see, what's next? Another thing that I had noticed was that I was watching a show on YouTube, and one of the hosts of the show, he has a daughter with the same name, and so I thought that was interesting as well. And so what I did today, and this is gonna just be the little note that I add on the end of this, was I really wanted to try out, for some reason, I wanted to try out some ghost hunting apps on my phone, because I wanted to see, like, if any of them are worthwhile, instead of, like, paying these people for like $100 for, like, messages that they get in their minds. Like, it'd be nicer to not pay anything and get whatever I need to get from an app on a phone. So I went to the old house, and I spent like an hour in there. It was so cold. Like, I was shivering, I was shaking. It was that cold, it was that unpleasant. It really didn't seem to work out very well. There was this one app. The weirdest thing that happened was that when we got on the road near where it happened, all of the apps stopped working, and they all froze, and I had to restart them all. And then when I got in the house, once again, the apps were not working. They were freezing. And it was odd because the apps work perfectly here at the other place, and they work perfectly like just in town. And so it was weird at these particular areas that the apps all of a sudden malfunction. And so that's another little sign. So one of the apps had like a voice thing where it had like radio and voices, and unfortunately I couldn't really understand any of it, and they're fucking scammers as fuck because they had the settings of the voices where you could adjust the distortion and the echo of the voices, and they had them at like half volume for all of them. So the voices were echoey and distorted, and I couldn't understand what they were saying even. And they don't let you turn those knobs down unless you give them money. So I thought, that's a sign of a scam. If I mean, that's pretty bad. So I got out of that one. But the final straw with that one was just made me roll my eyes. I think I might have heard like "This Is Me" or something. I don't know. Like it was really hard to understand. But the last thing that I heard before I just turned off the app completely was I heard two words: President Putin. Like, it just randomly out of nowhere, President Putin. And so I turned off the fucking app because I was like, okay, this is not worth it. Because I wanted to get in contact, and I wanted to see if I could learn some interesting things and talk to you guys about it. And then there was another one where it just throws out words. So supposedly the ghost goes into the phone and it throws out words at you like a game, like a game of sorts. And you're supposed to just set it down on a flat surface and let the words come at you. And it was so shitty though, because the first word that came up was wait, as in WEIGHT. And it came up like 3 times, and it was so funny because then it said a couple of interesting things. It said nurse, and it said judge. And I couldn't help but notice this because the word nurse repeated on several of the apps. And so, I'm not saying that these apps are 100% inaccurate, but it was weird how, that word repeated a couple of times. So there could be like a nurse spirit at that property. Maybe like a Civil War nurse is the person there. So I thought that was interesting. But then on the Words app, where they throw the words out at you, it's just like a white screen, and you see the words come at you. I found a hack where it really exposes how sort of inaccurate the app is. So all you have to do is shake your phone back and forth like 1 2 1 2 1 2, and a new word will keep on coming up. So it's like, you can basically just get a bunch of random words, because if this were accurate, then how could they have the ability to just press, like in a fast pace like that, they wouldn't. And so that was another app that I was like, that one is inaccurate. So then the one that I was really disappointed in, because this was mostly a failure, it was another, eye roll thing. There was this one app called an SLS camera app. And basically you can see like stick figures of ghosts. It's the same type of technology for like, it has something to do with pictures. You know how you take a picture sometimes and there will be a ghost in it, in some cases. And I trusted this the most because if you guys remember me talking about a certain serial killer that I really am interested in researching, these people went to his house and they shot their camera at the pool, and they saw a really creepy image of a ghost being strangled and killed in the pool over and over again. Like it's almost like he's reliving that over and over again. And so, I thought that was very creepy. In fact, that might be like the creepiest ghost evidence I've ever seen. And I thought, if anything, I'll get something out of that. Maybe I won't get any talking or any words from these people, but maybe I'll get some proof that, you can see these figures. But I didn't get anything. Like, I waited too. I was very patient. I was not just like, okay, 1 minute and then leave. I was very patient with these ghosts. And it just, I think the app is fraudulent. I don't think that it works, because if it did work, there would have been stuff on it. That's for damn sure. And then it was also weird too, because remember I was telling you guys how all the apps froze. The weirder thing was they not only froze, but they were saying that no spirits were present. Like they were all pretending like there was no activity going on. And it was weird how like they were all acting like that, because it's like, this is clearly like not the case. Like, any idiot in the world could tell you that like there's some weird shit happening in that area of town. And so, there should at least be like one fucking old person ghost somewhere or something, or some fucking, I don't know, like a little snot-nosed brat with black eyes. I don't know. Like, something out of the normal that, you'd expect in a ghost territory. But there was nothing apparently, and it was like, okay, this is bullshit. So another app that I used, this one was the one that I used the most. It was this one where you can see these bars on the screen, and it's kind of interesting actually, because the bars will raise up when the activity gets more intense, and so it kind of almost feels like, also like seeing the ghosts like move in and out from your phone. And so I was questioning, and I was trying to, get into contact with this person from the event. And it I don't think it worked. I don't know. It was really kind of like, in fact, I don't even really remember like what was said. Okay. There was something about clothes. They said something about like, because I asked maybe if the spirit would like to follow me, and they said clothes. And it was almost like they were suggesting that in order for a spirit to follow you, you have to have some of that person's clothes. and I asked, like, how do you get that? Like, I mean, how would I attain that? And they said bulk. They just said bulk, so, like, I don't know, maybe that's to just buy them in bulk. I still don't know how I would do that. So, very weird. Very weird with that. That was kind of odd. But it was also kind of weird because it made me remember last month, I wanted to get a bracelet from a certain person who owned it. I think you guys know who I'm talking about. And it made me think, like, oh, maybe the reason why I should have gotten the bracelet was because then they could get into contact with me more. And that's been like a running theme this year, is like a spirit wanting to get in contact. And so, like, I think that they tried like a million ways to contact me, and just none of them worked. And so, like, their last ditch effort is gonna be the psychic appointment on her birthday next month, on the 24th, which is whose birthday. So, actually, she's a medium as well. So that would be pretty interesting if I was finally able to get into some contact. So, I think that might be like an interesting big event as well for you guys to look out for. So I was kind of done with the apps. Like, I was like, another app that I tried was called like Ghost Radar. And it says like a ghost is nearby. And they have this horoscope sign, their stone colors, this sign, and they're a male or female, and blah blah blah, spirit type, so residual or peaceful or something, all these different types. And the only weird one with that was that I stepped outside and I pointed it towards like kind of like the backyard, kinda. And it said that it was a young male that was hurt. Like, because they say, like, the spirit's emotion. And it said that a young male was hurt in that area. So, I don't know. Who knows with that. I don't really trust it. It also supposedly says some messages from the spirits, which I don't really remember anything impactful. So it was kind of a fail. It was really disappointing because obviously, it would be really interesting to get in contact. It's just a matter of like doing it safely and in a way where you can trust the results. Because that's another thing is, I would have tested and I would have, you think about having a conversation, there was no conversation basically. Like, there was never any point where I felt like there was actually like a person on the other side. It just felt like a bunch of random results. So then, and I didn't do any digging because, of course, I'm still sore from bowling. I probably won't even be able to dig until like next week, maybe. I don't know. So then I got back and I thought, let's experiment with these apps some more for fun. And now this is where it got really weird. I do think there is one of the apps that I would kind of recommend, maybe. And then if you guys have good results, you could report them to me and, tell me, actually, what, this is a good one. The one with the bars where it gives you words and then you can see the bars raise and lower. I started using that one again here, and it was really odd because I went on to this person's Instagram page, and I started getting some weird things happening. And in fact, the phone paused for a second, and then there was an article of this person that froze for a second. So then on their page, I was scrolling on the pictures, and it gave me the word man. And it made me think, what do they want me to see that's a man? And I thought, oh wait, their profile picture is the same as it's a part of a photo collection on the page. And so then I went there and I looked at that one, and it was so weird because I was looking at the other pictures and the activity was very low after it said man. But then as soon as I got to the profile picture photo collection, all of a sudden the bars raised all the way to the max setting, like to where it's like, okay, there is something here. And it said some weird things like interpret, structure. So maybe like structure is in, this person, she was standing on a bridge in the picture. So like maybe they're saying, like, oh, look, structure. Because the only negative thing was that the app forces you to only be allowed to use 1,000 words for the ghosts. So you have to pay money to have all of the words in the dictionary. So they're limited. So it could be, that they wanted to say other things, but they couldn't because of these apps that just all they care about is money. And so it was really weird how like the activity got really high, and it was clearly like a response for sure. Like that was when I felt like finally I have something concrete. And so I got like a bunch of weird responses to that, and then I got some sort of a response about their partner, which I guess they have one, and I clicked on their profile, and then I got some weird responses with that, and then I blocked this person. And it was so weird because when I blocked them, the entire computer screen froze. And it was like, I guess they wanted me to block them or something. I don't know. So that's kind of weird. So those were the weird things that happened with that. And then finally, the last app, I found another good app that sort of like made me think like, okay, this could be accurate. So there's this other one where, and after this, I'll talk a little bit more about the cake again, because I didn't really mention all I wanted to say about that, and then we'll be done. So this app has like this thing where you put your finger on the screen, and then you wait for like a ghost message. So it was interesting because the first message was telling me to go outside more. Basically, like it was just saying go outside more. And for lack of a better words, like I don't remember the exact, like it was a jumble. It's always like a jumble of words. It's never like a full sentence or anything, but it was basically saying go outside more, anger or something. And then the next one was kind of interesting because it said relax, take time out, and then it said deal. And so I have to think like there's some sort of a deal taking place between parties or people of certain kinds. So it was kind of like it was telling me to just sit back and relax uh, and not worry about anything in terms of any of these issues. So both of those things felt kind of like, intelligent responses, like in terms of, it definitely felt like maybe there was something to those. So, all in all, I think that probably you should just get the normal equipment. It's just that stuff's pretty expensive. So, if you don't have the budget to get that, then just try out these couple of apps that are there. You can kind of see which ones are worse than the others based on their ratings. There's a couple of them where you can tell that they're for entertainment purposes only. Like there was this one where they show the ghosts on the screen is like these full animated ghosts, like the Haunted Mansion, and then it'll say their name, and it'll say that they died in 2000 and they were born in 1934, and then they'll say like these messages to you, and it's just kind of like, this is fake. You can kind of tell. So the last thing with the cake was, I really can't emphasize enough how good this cake was, because last year, if you guys don't know, I had told Safi to tell the bakery to just have fun and do whatever they wanted, because they had designed this cake for Safi that had looked really, really good, and it was strawberry, and it had like gold leaves on it. It was such an amazingly decorated cake, and it was because they just gave them license to have fun and do whatever kind of experimenting they wanted. So I wanted them to do the same thing with my cake last year. Well, instead, Safi told them to make me a Christmas cake. And so I was really upset that it was just like this generic Christmas-themed birthday cake. So I really loved how this cake, it was very simplistic, but it was so good. The fact that they based it off of my favorite season of the show, which is Freak Show, because it was an AHS themed cake. The fact that you have Twisty the Clown on there makes it even better. And then something I didn't expect too was that they used the title font for the show for the message in my name. And I really thought that was a great touch. And of course the color scheme was basically white with sprinkles for like carnival type of colors. And so it was really, really good. Like it was incredible, totally worth the money. Definitely one of the few flawless victories of the whole birthday plan. So the only thing that's left to think about is what the replacement commentary will be for the screwed up one for Christmas, because I was really excited about just doing a commentary for Christmas beforehand, uploading it, and then just forgetting about doing a Christmas video, because I don't like, that's another thing I don't like, is like having to do these like kind of special videos for the holiday. Like I just kind of like to do what I'm gonna do, but I feel like for these holidays, you have to do something interesting on them. And so that's why I really scheduled the season 5 review for my birthday, was because it was like a special video. So I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna do for the Christmas video. So anyways, please like this video, comment, and subscribe. And goodbye, everybody. See you soon.